G'day all. So just want to do a quick video covering some sort of movement techs that I've been using that I haven't really seen anyone else mention. Some of the ones I have seen mentioned that you can find in videos on YouTube are ledge boosting. So if you're up on like a ledge, and you dash and slide off it, you go sort of a substantial distance. That's not something I came up with, but yeah, like I said, you can find those on YouTube. The other thing that I've seen spoken of a lot on some other YouTube videos that you can find yourself is that weapons that have sort of inherent momentum on their attacks, combined with pressing sprint and crouch, can sort of be compounded to send you quite significant distances. I'm pretty sure the Ogryn's, like the dagger with the uppercut, like I think the uppercut does it. Although I haven't tested that myself, but I've seen some videos where I think they were using the uppercut. And the Psyker's dueling sword also has quite substantial forward momentum, which when combined with pressing shift and then crouch, pressing sprint and crouch, can sort of, again, compound and send you quite a long distance. One that I found particularly handy if you're playing a character like Zealot is immediately after a heavy swing, tapping sprint and then immediately crouch. You can sort of use the momentum of the big swing. Sort of you sort of take a step forward as you release, and if you can time it right, you can use that movement to sort of propel yourself a bit, which isn't super useful if unless you're charging up another swing. So you could just start sprinting, but if your intent is to sort of do a big swing and then charge up another swing, while you're sliding, you can charge up a swing. And so it sort of allows you to get one big swing and then have the other one sort of charging as you move, which you otherwise wouldn't do because as you're charging up the swing, you walk incredibly slowly. So it sort of lets you cover ground while charging a swing, which is quite handy. Something else is, I think this is true, but I haven't bothered to check it myself. With the Crucius hammer, if you're sprinting, you can charge up the sort of power up and keep sprinting. It doesn't disable your sprint. But I think, with the new power maul, that's not the case. Where is my horribly statted power maul? Yeah, so with the power maul, you stop in place while you're sprinting to charge it. And so you can do the same thing here. If you're sprinting, you can slide if you time it right, you can sort of cover that distance still. So if you wanted to advance, the timing is basically while sprinting, you press the charge up button and then immediately crouch after. You don't want to start sliding first because then you can't do it. So you're running, press the power up button and then slide, and then you'll sort of cover that extra distance without it like stopping you in place. And the final thing is, with, at least as far as I know, the revolver, but it's probably with all the weapons, but probably most handy for the revolver just because the recharge time or the reload time is so substantial. You can't do that while sprinting. And it's kind of slow to try and to start sliding, and like you still then you just end up sort of coming out of the slide and the rest of the reload's still going while you're walking forward, and that's still quite slow. But you can turn around, and because you can't dash forward obviously, but you can dash backwards while you're reloading. So you can start reloading and be dashing backwards and sliding, and that sort of lets you cover quite a substantial distance while you reload. And it's just a bit of a small thing that you can sort of add into what you're doing. But I found I do it a lot more when I'm playing on Psyker, because the Psyker's head pop slows your momentum, but once you've locked on the head pop on an enemy, you can look away, and if you're still holding the button, the meter still builds and the enemy still gets hit. So you can lock onto an enemy and turn around and start dashing and sliding away from them, and you can basically just keep moving wherever you want, really, using that. So I've been doing that a lot. And just getting into the habit of crouching and sliding after every dodge is something that I've started incorporating basically as much as I can, just because it's a little bit more movement, sure, but it's also makes you much harder to hit for things like the dogs, things like the mutants, like things that are quite important to really get out of the way of. It makes that much more sort of consistent, I guess. So yeah, that's all for now. Hope it was of some utility, and just sort of wanted to share it because I think there's a lot of cool little techs in this game that that maybe don't they're not immediately obvious, but they're sort of, they are worth knowing, and they do bring you a little bit more enjoyment as you play. A little bonus one that I had just seen a video of that you may not have seen was that hip firing guns like the Bolter, or I think the Ripper gun on the Ogryn, there's a minimum amount that it will fire. If you hip fire and then aim though, you can just fire the one. So just another cool little tip that you'll as you play, you'll probably feel quite good about yourself as you start to incorporate little, if you only need the one shot, you can just fire the one and then move on without having to aim down the sights to acquire a target first. Which you're not going to use much, but every little bit sort of helps. And another little thing that I just found while playing around that some people may find useful is when you use the chainsword, you obviously end up locked in an animation, and you can move around a little bit, but it's it sort of locks you down quite a bit. But if you charge up the chainsword and run at an enemy, attack them and slide, you can sort of skirt maybe a little bit more than you otherwise would, which is possibly of some use to someone. And it sort of does it in a weird way. It takes your momentum this way, but sort of it limits you, like it sets an outer bound that you don't, like it changes your trajectory to sort of circle around them because you're locked to this sort of distance with the thing, which is weird because like you can back away from an enemy once you've started sawing them. But in any case, it again, it's just a way to give yourself slightly more movement options. Something to note that I found tremendously difficult when trying to demonstrate this is that you don't want to start sprinting, charge the chainsword, and then attack, like when you get to them, because if you start sprinting, the slowdown of charging the chainsword will stop your momentum, sort of. Like you don't actually stop, but it does cancel your sprint. Like, so you can see I'm sprinting. Once I charge the chainsword, I'm still moving, but oh no, that worked. That time it worked. That's weird. Oh, okay. In any case, it doesn't. But yeah, if you cover the distance to the enemy and sort of charge it too late, you'll just find that you end up in front of them, and when you crouch, you don't really go anywhere. So you want to sort of make sure the chainsword's revved up, then sprint, then attack, and slide as you go. And you'll sort of, as you can see, you'll skirt around them. So anyway, enjoy. Little bonus.